40 well-kept secrets that all U.S. slaves should be aware of. 1. The Revolutionary War was a fraud. The United States did not actually declare independence from Great Britain or the King. 2. America is a British colony. The United States is a corporation, not a land mass, that existed before the Revolutionary War. Information taken from the Articles of Association, October 20, 1774. Furthermore, the British troops did not leave until 1796. Respublica v. Swears 1 Dallas 43, Treaty of Commerce 8 Stat 116, the Society for Propagating the Gospel, and c. v. New Haven 8 Wheat 464, Treaty of Peace 8 Stat 80, IRS Publication 6209. 3. The King of England financed both sides of the Revolutionary War. Treaty at Versailles July 16, 1782, Treaty of Peace 8 Stat 80. 4. The gold fringe, symbolic of royalty, which is attached to the border of every U.S. flag hanging in every courtroom across America, symbolizes America being ruled, to this day, by Great Britain, under international maritime admiralty law. 1. 5. There are no judicial courts in America and there have not been any since 1789. Judges do not enforce statutes and codes. Executive administrators enforce statutes and codes. FRCV. GE 281 U.S. 464, Keller vs. PE 261 U.S. 428, 1 Stat. 138 to 178. 6. There have not been any judges in America since 1789. There have only been administrators. FRCV. GE 281 U.S. 464, Keller vs. PE 261 U.S. 428 1 Stat. 138,178. 7. The most powerful court in America is not the United States Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. 42 Pascals. CSA. 5028. If you are of legal age and retain legal counsel in your defense, you are automatically assumed, by the court, to be a mentally incompetent ward of the court, and can therefore be remanded indefinitely to any mental institution of the court's choosing. 9. You cannot use the U.S. Constitution to defend yourself, because you are not a party to it. Paddleford Fay and Company v. The Mayor and Alderman of the City of Savannah 14 Georgia 438, 520. 2. 10. The people, does not include you and me. Barron vs. Mayor and City Council of Baltimore, 32 U.S. 243, 11. You own no property. Read the deed to the property that you think is yours. You are listed as a tenant. Legally, the term human being refers to an animal impersonating a human, such as a slave. Under the law, slaves can't own property. Senate Document 43, 73rd Congress First Session. 12. We are slaves and own absolutely nothing, not even what we think are our children. Read your birth certificate. Your mother is listed as an informant. Tillman vs. Roberts 108 So. 62, Van Coden v. Van Coden 154 NE. 146, Senate Document 43 and 73rd Congress First Session, Weinhammer v. People 13 NY. Rep 378, 481. 13. Military dictator George Washington divided the estates into districts based upon the ritualistic practice of dissecting Masonic squares. This is why, even today, so many towns are built on the square. America truly is the land of the free, Freemasons, that is. Messages and Papers of the Presidents, Volume 1, pg 99. Webster's 1828 Dictionary for Definition of a State. 3. 14. In addition to obsession with Masonic ritual, symbols, and architecture, the United States is the first country, from its very inception, to have been surveyed and engineered according to Masonic ritual and specification. 15. The United States does not have any employees, because there is no longer a United States. No more reorganization. Executive Order 12803, do not impersonate one of its creditors or shareholders or you will go to prison. 18 U.S.C. 914, 16 before, 911, and, Pearl Harbor, the Boston Tea Party, was the first, false flag, operation enacted to promote further hostilities toward the indigenous tribes of North America. 17. The causes behind World War I, World War II, and the Depression were completely fraudulent. The United States was making loans to other countries all over the world during the Depression. In the early 1930s, the building of Germany's infrastructure, railroads, military, and funding for the Nazi Party was financed by the United States, including various other American corporations and private American investors, namely Prescott Bush, the grandfather of George W. Bush. 4. Note that Switzerland is never involved in these fiascos, because the Bank of International Settlements is located in Zurich. 18. The etymology behind what we, today in the West, would consider an innocuously ordinary, internationally dispersed banking practice called lending, is known within virtually every holy text throughout the world, including the Bible, as usury. Usury is generally categorized as a predatory type act, or preying on those who are most vulnerable. People within the banking and loan industry, however, more commonly refer to this practice as writing a loan or mortgage. The word mortgage comes from the Latin conjunction mortgage, which, in English, literally means death grip. 19. The Federal Reserve was never legally ratified on the floor of the House and Senate, and is not a U.S. government agency. It is a privately owned, pyramid scheme, perpetrated against Americans by a most unethical group of world bankers, e.g. J. P. Morgan, Paul Warburg, and J. D. Rockefeller. 20. The Internal Revenue Service isn't a U.S. government agency, but an agency of the International Monetary Fund, aka the IMF. 5. The IRS was devised, by bankers, to collect national debt which they, the bankers, created themselves by greatly inflating the cost of financing World War I and World War II, which they, these same bankers, instigated in the first place. The IRS then began collecting the income tax, directly imposed on the American people, as a means to ensure perpetuation of an archaic class system known as serfdom, or slavery. In addition to the tax never being legally ratified, it is a direct, UN-apportioned tax on the labor of the average American worker, and so therefore, according to the Constitution, is not even a legal tax. Diversified Metal Products vs. IRS et al. CV 93-405 EEJEUSDCDI, Public Law 94-564, Senate Report 941,148, Reorganization Plan No. 26, Public Law 102,391. 21. The 1040 tax form is quite literally a form of tribute paid to Britain. IRS Publication 6209-22. The IMF is an agency of the UN. Black's Law Dictionary 6th ed. pg.81623. The U.S. has not had a treasury since 1921. 41 Stat. ch.214 pg. 654 6. 24. The U.S. Treasury is now the IMF. Presidential Documents Volume 29 No.4 pg. 113, 22 U.S.C. 285,288 25 NSA, FCC, CIA, FAA, FBI, IRS, and all the other alphabet organizations were never part of the United States government, even though the U.S. held shares of stock in the various agencies. U.S. v. Strang, 254 U.S. 491, Lewis vs. U.S. 680 F2D, 1239-26. The UN, through the IMF, issues Social Security numbers. The application for a Social Security number is the SS5 form. The Department of the Treasury (IMF) issues the SS5, not the Social Security Administration. The new SS5 forms do not state who or what publishes them. The earlier SS5 forms state that they are Department of the Treasury forms. You can get a copy of the SS5 you filled out by sending Form SSAL 996 to the SS Administration. 20 CFR Chapter 111, Subpart B 422.103 Read the cites above. 27 According to the GATT, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, you must have a Social Security number. House Report 103-826 7. 28 Social Security is not insurance or a contract, nor is there a trust fund. Helvering vs. Davis 301 U.S. 619, Steward Company. v. Davis 301 U.S. 548. 29 Your Social Security check comes directly from the IMF, which is an agency of the UN. Look at it if you receive one. It should have written on the top left United States Treasury. 30 It is not the duty of the police to protect you. Their job is to protect the corporation and arrest code breakers. Sapp vs. Tallahassee, 348 So. 2nd. 363, Rife vs. City of Philadelphia, 477 F sup. 1262, Lynch vs. N.C. Department of Justice 376 SE 2nd. 247. 31. Everything in the United States is for sale. Roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, water, prisons, airports, etc. Who bought Klamath Lake? Did anyone check? Executive Order 12803. 32. The UN has financed the operations of the United States government for more than 50 years, and now owns every man, woman and child in America. The UN also holds all the land of America in fee simple. 8. 33. New York City is defined in the federal regulations as the United Nations, which is why Rudolph Giuliani stated on C-SPAN that New York City is the capital of the world. He was correct. For once, he told the truth. New York City, the UN is the capital government governing body of the NWO. 20 CFR Chapter 111, Subpart B 422.103 B2234. Just like Vatican City and the Financial District of London, Washington, D.C. is a sovereign city-state, with its own constitution and flag. The flag depicts 3 stars, one for each city-state, with Washington, D.C. representing the New World Military, London representing the New World Monetary System, and the Vatican representing the New World Religion. 35. Great Britain is owned by the Vatican. In fact, the Pope claims to own the entire planet through the laws of conquest and discovery. Treaty of 1213, Papal Bulls of 1455 and 1493. 36. A Pope can abolish any law in the United States. The Pope's laws are obligatory on everyone. Throughout history, ancient and modern, popes have ordered the enslavement and genocide of millions. Elements of Ecclesiastical Law, Volume 1, 53-54, 9. Bend, 16. De Sin, Dioec, Lib, Ix, C, V, N. 4. Prati, 1944, Syllabus, Prop 28, 29, 44-37. On July 7, 2009, Pope Benedict XVI issued an encyclical letter, the most authoritative document a pope can issue, calling for the establishment of a world political authority. In other words, a new world order. 38. Wednesday, May 21, 2008, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton secretly attended a closed annual meeting with approximately 1/30 of the world's most insidiously tyrannical power broker elite, known as the Bilderberg Group. 39. Every American man, woman and child is held as human collateral. Our birth certificate represents each of us as a living stock, or live stock, to be traded on the world market via the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, the IMF, and that most ancient of scams, known, throughout the last millennium, to every oppressed country the world over, as the banking and loan industry, the World Bank, with each person's value calculated at an average lifetime estimate of revenues generated via taxation. Executive Order 13,037-10. 40. The good news is, under corporate law, the American people do not have to fulfill their fictitious obligations. We can discharge any fictitious obligation with that of another. Because government and various agencies, corporations cannot directly interact with a living, breathing person, they must address your fictitious identity using all capital letters. We are not necessarily obliged in answering to them. Just remember, we are those who gave and continue giving government, corporate, and religious giants their power of control. Therefore, if we would stand united and resolute in both our reason and purpose, e.g. collective refusal to participate, by a boycott of corporate exploitation and government taxation via bartering, amongst ourselves and smaller, locally owned businesses, while gardening and farming whenever possible, b. conducting home births without tagging our children with certificates, social security numbers, or dangerous and UN necessary drugging, c. teaching our children at home, rather than handing them over to the state-run institution for indoctrination, needless and dangerous drugging, declination in morality, ethics, and exposure to the infectious blight of cynicism, d. turning away from television, Hollywood, in favor of reading, writing, and speaking with one another in order of sharing truth, reason, and wisdom, so that we can wake up and leave government, the mainstream media propaganda. 1. And big organized religion out of our lives where they belong. Could we then begin seeing that which is, and always has been, so skillfully concealed, i.e., at any given time of our collective choosing, we can, by these and other means, take back that our God-given, unalienable, sovereign rights which for so long has been cleverly manipulated and patiently conditioned away from us. Note: please find out how to protect yourself via this link, http://www.scrib.com/doc/133507040/redemption-manual 12